All right, welcome everyone to our lesson on the law of sines. So this is going to be lesson 9.4. All right, so the law of sines helps us figure out missing sides and missing angles. And we use this over here where you have the sine of angle A over side A equals the sine of angle B over side B equals the sine of angle C over side C. We use the law of sines when we have the following situations. You have an angle-angle side or an angle-side angle. We can also use the law of sines for side-side angle, but that's not going to be covered in this course. That's going to be covered in pre-calculus, okay? Now, what we're going to do for each example, we're going to draw triangle ABC, and you're going to label the given information. Note that side A is lowercase, and it's opposite to angle A, which is capitalized, where side B, lowercase, is opposite to angle B, capitalized, and that also applies to side C and angle C. Again, the goal here is to find all the missing sides and angles. Make sure that the calculator is in degrees. So it's very, very important that you do this now. So here's my calculator. I press mode. So I'm going to scroll down. And then here it is. It's currently in radian. I want to arrow to the right and hit enter. So it's highlighted on degree. Okay, so now I'm going to quit by pressing second mode, and then I'm back in the main screen. So let's take a look at example 1. These two examples here are examples of angle side angle. All right, so the first thing I want to do is draw my triangle and then label the triangle ABC. So I can label this clockwise or counterclockwise, it doesn't really matter. Okay, angle A is 63 degrees. So here's 63 degrees. Angle B is 49 degrees. And then side C is 78. So here is angle C. So opposite to that is lowercase c. Okay, and that is 78. Whereas here's angle A. So opposite to that is lowercase a, and angle B, opposite to that, is lowercase b. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use two of the three fractions here to create my proportion. Notice that we need to find all the missing sides and angles. If we look over here, we have two of the three angles of this triangle. So if this angle is 63 and this angle is 49, I can figure this angle out by subtracting from 180, right? So to find the measure of angle C, I'll just do 180 minus 63 minus 49, and that is going to give me 68 degrees, okay? So this is 68 degrees. So look, we have angle C. Let me use a different highlighter. We have angle C inside C. So I can create a ratio between these two objects, right? So I can write sine of C is over side C. Or I can say sine of 68 over its side, which is 78. And then I'm going to set that equal to, let's figure out what side A is. So because I have my angle over my side, I got to do the same thing for these two objects here. So I'll write sine of 63 over its side, which is A, and look at that, we have our proportion. So if I have two ratios that are equal to each other, we basically just cross multiply. So 78 times sine of 63 is 78 sine of 63 equals A times sine of 68 is just A sine of 68. And then in order for me to get a by itself, I got to divide both sides by sine of 68. So I have 78 sine of 63 over sine of 68, and that's a. And I'm going to use my calculator to figure out what that missing side is. Okay, so 78 sine of 63 divided by sine of 68, which is, okay, so we're going to round to the nearest tenth when we're calculating the sides. So this would be, okay, so this is the tenths place, that's the hundredths place. I'm rounding to the nearest tenth, so that would just go up. So if this becomes a 0, then this is going to make this a whole number. Okay, so A is going to be 75. A is 75. But we're not done yet. We need to figure out what side B is. So what I like to do is I'm going to use the ratio that was already filled out at the beginning. I'm not going to use the new ones. I'm not going to use sine of 63 over 75. That was an approximate answer, right? I want to use, or I want to stick with whatever I had at the beginning. So going with sine of 68 over 78, I want to compare this ratio to the angle over this side. So that would be sine of 49 over b. And then again, it's basically the same process, right? We're cross multiplying. So 78 sine of 49 equals b of sine of 68. And I gotta divide both sides by sine of 68. And then let's figure out what b is. So I have 78 sine of 49 divided by sine of 68. And we're rounding this to the nearest tenth, so this would be approximately 63.5. And there you go. We found side A and side B. Okay, number 2. Draw a triangle with vertices A, B, and C. Angle B is 57. So if this is angle B, then this must be side B. Angle C is 84. If this is angle C, this is side C. And look at this, we have side A. So if this is angle A, then this must be little a. And we need to find all the missing sides and angles. So to figure out angle A, we'll just do 180 minus 84 minus 57. And that is 39 degrees. Okay, so this is the measure of angle A. All right, so that is 39 degrees. And then we need to find the ratio where we have an angle and a side, and that would be angle A and side A. So my ratio would be sine of 39 over 25, and let's figure out what side B is. So I have an angle, so I can write sine of 57 over its lowercase letter, which is side B. We cross multiply, so 25 times sine of 57 is 25 sine of 57 equals B times sine of 39 is B sine of 39. Then I need to get B by itself. We'll divide both sides by sine of 39. Okay, so B will input 25 sine of 57 divided by sine of 39. And that is approximately 33.3. All right. Okay, so we found side B. We need to find side C. So we're going to stick with the ratio that was already filled out, we're not going to use sine of 57 over 33.3. We're going to use the original, okay? So sine of 39 over 25 equals, we need to find lowercase c. So I have angle C, so sine of 84 over lowercase c. We'll cross multiply. So we have c sine of 39 equals 25 times the sine of 84. We'll divide both sides by sine of 39. What is c approximately to? So 25 sine of 84 divided by sine of 39. And that, to the nearest tenth, is approximately 39.5. All right. So these are examples of angle side angle using the law of sines. All right, flipping over to the back side, these are examples of angle side. So we'll first draw a triangle, label, angle B is 23 degrees, angle C is 79 degrees. We don't know what angle A is, but we do know what side C is. So here's angle C. Opposite to that is side C, so that's 20. Okay? So let's figure out what measure of angle A is. So I'll do 180 minus 79 minus 23. What does that equal to? 78 degrees. And we currently have angle C and side C. So here's angle A, this is lowercase a, here's angle B, this is lowercase b. All right, so let's create a ratio between the angle and the side here. So sine of 79 over 20 equals, we'll figure out side B. So since we have angle B, we can write sine of 23 over lowercase b. And then we cross multiply. So b sine of 79 equals 20 times sine of 23. We'll divide both sides by sine of 79. So b is approximately, so 20 sine of 23 divided by sine of 79. We're rounding to the nearest tenth, so that 9 is going to become a 0. If this 10th place is 0, then this is going to bump it up to 8. So b is approximately 8. Now we're going to use sine of 79 over 20 again, and I'm going to set that equal to, okay, we need to figure out what side A is. So here's angle A, so sine of 78 over lowercase a, aka side A. We'll cross multiply, so we have 20 sine of 78 equals a times sine of 79. I'll divide both sides by sine of 79 here. So a is approximately 19.9. Okay, so here's A, here's B. Number 4, draw a triangle again. Here's A, here's B, here's C. The measure of angle A is 47. Measure of angle C is 100 degrees. We're trying to figure out what measure of angle B is. Okay, so I'll do 180 minus 47 minus 100. That is 33 degrees. Okay, so here's angle A. This is lowercase a. Here's angle B. This is lowercase b. And angle C. This is where lowercase c is. side A is 32. Okay, so I can create a ratio between angle A and side A. So sine of 47 over 32, and I want to figure out what side B is. So if angle B is 33 degrees, I can write sine of 33 over B. I'll cross multiply. And I'll divide both sides by sine of 47. So B is approximately 23.8. And hopefully you notice that this is a repeated process, right? Nothing has changed. The process, the steps are the same. Okay, and then we're going to stick with sine of 47 over 32. I just want my answer to be exact as possible. That's why I'm sticking with the already given angle and side, right? So sine of 47 over 32, I want to set that equal to, we found B, we need to find C, right? So sine of 100 over side C. We cross multiply, so C sine of 47 equals 32 sine of 100. Divide both sides by sine of 47. C is approximately 32 sine of 100 divided by sine of 47. Okay, so we're rounding to the nearest tenth. So we have this. There's that 0. Here's the hundredths place. That's that 8. The 8 is going to bump up that 0 by 1, so it's going to be approximately 43.1. All right, so the measure of angle A is 33 degrees, side B is this, and side C is that. All right. Number 5. Because of prevailing winds, a tree grew so that it was leaning forward from the vertical. At a point 35 meters from the tree in the opposite direction, the angle of elevation to the top of the tree is 23 degrees. Find the height of the tree. Okay, so one thing that I want to do is label the vertices. So this right here, it's really hard to see, but it is indeed the tree. So I'll label this angle here T, capital T, by the way. So if this is angle T, then this must be side T. So I'll label this side lowercase t. And here is the height of the tree. Okay, so if this is the tree and this is the height of the tree, then this angle is called angle H. And here we have this angle between the tree and the horizontal distance creates an angle of 94 degrees. So we can just label this angle whatever. So we'll label this angle R. So if this angle is capital R, then the lowercase r goes here. All right? So we can see that if I know that the angle H and the angle R are 23 degrees and 94 degrees respectively, we can find the measure of angle T by just subtracting from 180. So 180 minus 23 minus 94 is 63 degrees. So the measure of angle T is 63 degrees. Okay, so now this is where we're going to use the law of sine. So angle T is what I know, and side T is the other thing that I know. So I can create a ratio between the angle and the side. So sine of 63 over 35. And then let's figure out the height of the tree. So here's my angle. It is 23 for the measure of angle H. So sine of 23 over lowercase h. We'll cross multiply. And I think we understand the process of cross multiplying, so I'm just going to go ahead and give you the answer. On the calculator, it would say h is approximately 15.34. But we want to round to the nearest tenth. So if this is the 10th place and this is the 100th place, then the 4 isn't going to change the 10th place at all. So really, the height is 15.3 approximately. And that's it, because all we had to do was find the height of the tree. We don't need to figure out what side R is. Okay? So we're done. Hopefully this lesson makes sense. It's basically a very linear process, right? So always look at the information, draw your triangle, label, find that missing one angle, and then find the angle and the side that is given so that you can create a ratio and set it equal to other ratios to find those other missing sides and angles.